go.
So Marlow on the Berkshire station against Gloucester on the Buck station in the Diamond Jubilee Challenge Cup Junior Women's Quads. And away they go, fast and furious, trying to seize the early initiative in this heat.
Great start. The tension immediately drops away. Once you're 2 or 3 strokes into the race, then you're just doing the job that you've been training for months and years.
Gloucester Rowing Club heading out towards Marlow Rowing Club. You can see there, Marlow Rowing Club.
Really close. They're coming quite close together again off the start here. I think the umpire's not going to want to see them clashing, so we'll be warning to ensure that they separate. Looks like a strong lead here from Gloucester.
Yeah, they've got out early and managed half a length lead on Marlow.
Got a weight advantage in Gloucester, 79 kilos average weight, plays 73 from Marlow. Again, that could be a bit of a decisive advantage. Certainly they look like the more powerful crew at this point, putting their weight behind the oars and levering it through, and that's an important thing to be doing at this early point in the race. Establish the rhythm and push out and see if you can break clear water lead on the other crew.
Marlow looking pretty smooth as well though, and in contention importantly.
Yeah, again, a high standard of rowing from the women here. Both crews well-timed, long strokes now as they've got out of the start phase and into trying to establish that rhythm that they hope will take them through the middle of the course. Very relaxed looking crew here. Not worried at all, not stressed, no tension in the faces. That's a really good sign, because to be fast and to connect with the water and to propel the boat well, you can't have tension in the shoulders or the faces. And you can see, in fact, both crews are managing that kind of loose relaxation and applying the power really effectively.
Abby Matthews, you saw in the stroke seat there from Marlow, trying to keep a pace of Gloucester, who you can see there have got a good lead and a well-positioned, good steering from them as well. We've talked a lot about the steering in the last hour or so, and so far so good for Gloucester.
Yeah, Gloucester doing well. I think they were put together since the National Schools Regatta, so relatively recently. 2 from the National Schools crew, which finished 4th, and then added 2 more to the crew since then. And they won gold at the Henley Women's Regatta and set 2 new course records in the process of that. So we shouldn't be too surprised to see them pulling out here. And just a lovely overhead shot shows the coordination of those scullers in the Gloucester crew.
Marlow got a bit close to the boom. Now they're darting out into the middle again.
Yeah, I think that's that crosswind again, just in the middle of the course there, proving a little bit challenging for some of the competitors.
And there are some breaks in the booms as well, and just that break in the boom, the water will feel different, and it seemed to be a bit of a draw out towards the middle of the water.
Yeah, so something that happens here is you can see, if you look down from this view, you can see how the bank moves away from the booms in the course. So if you're steering, your eye can be distracted sometimes by the distance to the bank being the distance you're judging, and it sort of draws you across to the booms because you're more aware of that perhaps than you are of the booms next to you. But they've recovered well, and they're now on a good course again.
But it's Gloucester Rowing Club who dominate. They've got themselves a good lead. But they are being spoken to by the umpire. Even though they're a long way ahead, they're being asked to get back onto their side of the water. That's changed a little bit this year, hasn't it? The umpires have been reminded that even when you get ahead, you've got to stay on your station, because you create the dirty water behind for the boat that's trying to retaliate.
Exactly right. So people might be curious about that, but if you look, you can see here the wake of the back of the Gloucester crew actually extends quite a long way across the river, and the puddles, that's the swirl that's made by the oar pulling through the water, do create quite a bit of turbulence, so it can be a disadvantage. If you sit behind a crew in their puddles, you really feel the boat bouncing, and that's inefficient. It also can destabilise the rhythm, so we want to try and keep the crews apart so that they can perform to their best unimpeded by their competitors. And you can see now quite a significant gap. But look overhead, you can just see the puddles as you look down the river. You can see them still swirling for 2 or 3 seconds after the oars are extracted. And you can see how that turbulence could disrupt the crew behind. Just very faintly, you can see the weight from the boat in that beautiful V shape.
Well, if Marlow are going to do something, they're going to need to do it now, aren't they? Because they have got past the halfway point in this race in the Diamond Jubilee Challenge Cup against Gloucester, who took an early lead off Temple Island and have sat on that lead. And in fact, they've extended that lead. And they'll reduce the rate. Yeah, Gloucester just reducing the rate a little bit now, as they go in front of Remenham and towards the grandstands.
Yeah, look, that's Georgia Martin in the stroke seat for the Gloucester crew, just 17 years old. Won, as I say, at Women's Henley just recently. And she's another athlete selected on the GB Start programme, which has been so successful, particularly in the women's team, producing athletes going to the Olympics within 4 or 5 years of starting rowing. So it's been a tremendously successful programme in identifying the physiologically suited to rowing, and then giving them some intensive coaching and training to get them up through the ranks very quickly.
It's the Marlow boat. Abby Matthews, Katie Claridge, Abby Bird and Georgia Dean. There they are. Nervous look over the shoulder from the bower Georgia Dean there, just conscious that the booms were looming again.
One of the unique things about Henley is these wooden booms either side of the track. If you're watching from around the world and you're not so familiar with rowing, then most rowing courses will be 6 lanes, straight courses with buoys. And if you clip a buoy with your oar, well, you know, that might cause you a short slowdown. But if you run into a static wooden boom, your race is probably over and you could well damage the boat and injure yourself. So you do really want to avoid hitting those things at all costs.
And Georgia Dean's face said all that just now.
Much more eloquently than I could. But at this point in the race, obviously, these women are thinking about conserving energy, just making sure they row beautifully together, and they'll be wanting to make sure that they're well prepared for tomorrow's race in the second round of this event.
So Gloucester Rowing Club approaching the point in the race where they'll hear the crowds as stewards. They know they've got Marlow in their sights. They can control the last 100 metres or so of this race.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be close.
These are all the ones to watch through this competition, I think. It's a crew with real momentum, as I say, some Henley women's winners in there, and they've obviously improved and established a new combination since then that's come together really well. Look at that, lovely sculling, beautifully together, beautifully relaxed, almost effortless, just letting themselves lean back and push the boat along all the way through the enclosures. Some respectful applause from those appreciating the rowing.
I'm not sure I'll thank you for calling it effortless, but I know what you mean. That's a compliment rather than anything else.
We're all in search of that. We're all in search of that when we're rowing. We want it to feel effortless, and sometimes it does. By the time you finish, you're conscious it's cost you some energy, but the best rowing really feels like you're swinging along and the boat's moving for you.
Well, last year's winners in the Diamond Jubilee Challenge Cup, Gloucester, progressed safely through to the next round. Marlow losing to Gloucester in the Diamond Jubilee Challenge Cup.